In this video, I wanted to show you more about the cut settings you use when you cut with your Cricut. On the screen right here, I have a picture pulled up of the Cricut Explorer. So the difference between the Cricut Explorer and the Cricut Maker is the Explorer comes with a dial, and you can turn the dial based on the different materials that you cut, like paper or vinyl or iron-on, cardstock, etc. I had an Explorer before I got my Maker, and I really liked being able to turn the dial, but I often found that I would forget to change it. So if I was doing iron-on and I left it on vinyl, then sometimes my cuts would get messed up. One trick to get around this would be to just use the custom and always keep your dial on the custom, because then it's going to force you to select it in the Cricut software. And then I'm just going to show you. So here's the Maker. You'll see that the Maker does not have the dial because you have to always choose it through the Cricut software. So I'll bring up the software so you can see what that looks like now. After you do your design, you will click Make It. You see that I only have one color that I'm cutting. So I only have one mat that appears over on the side here. If you had multiple colors, you would see those there. You can also do different cutting materials at the same time. You want to be careful, because when you do that, you want to make sure to change the settings in between the different materials you use. So if you like what you see, everything looks good, you can also move it around in your mat if you don't have, if your vinyl is cut weird or something like that. You can hit continue. And I just turned my Maker on, so it's making the noises that it makes to start up. And then it says set base material. So you notice I have all of these here on my screen. Glitter vinyl, so this would be like permanent. Glitter iron-on, so this would be glitter that you put on a shirt. Premium vinyl is like your regular vinyl that you would do for adhesive. Everyday iron-on is like regular vinyl that you'd put on clothes. Then I have like light cardstock and all of my things that I tend to use more frequently. You can also go to browse all materials, and you'll see just all of the different types of materials that you can cut with your machine. And then as you go through them and find ones that you use frequently, then you can go over and you can hit the star, and then it'll pull it to your main favorite materials, and you can have up to 12 of those. So every time you cut something, you'll select the type of material that you're cutting. You can also select if you want a default pressure for cutting, or if you need a little bit more. So say the vinyl that you were using is a little bit thicker, or a little bit less if it was a little bit thinner. And then you can always go back and change in between different types of cut materials that you have. So once you select your material, it brings up another screen where it shows you exactly the different materials and tools that you need to have loaded. So you can see I don't need something in my clamp A. So if you look at my machine, I have a clamp A. This can be for like a pen if I'm going to draw on something. And then the clamp B is always the cutting tool that I'm doing. So this is just my regular blade. If you get different blades or things like that, you would change it there. And then it says once you can have your mat loaded. So I have my mat right here. I take off the top cover, and then I'm going to line up my vinyl in the corner because that's where I put it on the screen. You do want to try to have it lined up as best as possible. I'm going to turn you around so you can see as best as possible on that mat that you have. And I'm going to put the phone down so that I can readjust this. So you can see now I have it all lined up with the corners. Sometimes people do like to put it in like a quarter or a half inch because it does put a border around it that it won't cut all the way to the edge, but that's personal preference. And then you slide it in to your machine, and you can hit the blinking arrow. It'll take it in there, and then you'll hit the blinking C to cut it. I already cut this, so I'm not going to cut this one, but after it gets done, the arrow will blink again, and then that tells you can take it out. So that's the basics on the cutting and how to change your materials. I hope that this video helped.